What does it take really to build a future-ready organization in a world where work is evolving faster than ever? Is it about adopting to the latest technology? Is it about personalizing learning experiences? Or is it about keeping the human element at the heart of every transformation? Hello, everyone. This is Manu, Chief Business Officer at KNOLSKAPE, and I welcome you all to another episode of the Learning Curve powered by KNOLSKAPE. In this episode of the Learning Curve, we dive into these questions which someone who has been at the forefront of workforce evolution for over 25 years, Sanjay Bhattacharya, Managing Director and Head of People and Organizational Change, Middle East at Protiviti. Sanjay is a seasoned HR and workforce transformation leader with immense experience in strategic rewards, organization development, workforce planning, and change management. Previously, Sanjay held leadership roles at Ernst & Young, Korn Ferry, Hay Group, where he successfully led talent strategy, compensation, performance management, HR process reengineering, and digital HR initiatives. Sanjay helps businesses align people strategies with evolving industry demands. Hi, Sanjay. It's absolutely a delight to have you on our episode of the Learning Curve, and we are super excited for the conversation which will follow soon. Before we move to the topical discussion, Sanjay, just to know you a little better and for our listeners who are going to be logging into this episode, I'm going to have a quick rapid fire section with you. It is more, just to break the ice and know you better. And it's going to be about 3 or 4 very short questions coming at you. To start with, a hobby or passion outside of work that keeps you energized. Anything you would want to share on that?
I am post 50. I started doing trekking.
Wow.
And I also I started running as well. So I trek a lot. Every weekend I go to the mountains, and I also run 10K and half marathon quite regularly in some of the events here. So yes,
Sure.
trekking and marathon. Yeah, these are
So
the
that's
hobbies that
absolutely super inspiring. My question number 2 to you, Sanjay, is if you had to describe your leadership philosophy in one word with your kind of experience over 25 years, what's this ingredients or the secret ingredients for your successful career?
It's always been about compassion. It's always been about driving results through compassion. Yeah.
Excellent. And what's more critical? There is this whole conversation about skill set, mindset. Out of the two, what would you say is the most critical thing? Is it skills or is it the mindset?
Absolutely, it's about mindset. Skill comes later. Your attitude, your behavior, your frame of mind. It was drive your skills or any other attribute that you may find. So yes, for me, it is always the mindset.
Excellent answers. And one last question, Sanjay, and this is something I would really be interested to know. If you could have lunch with any of the historical leaders that you would pick up from the past, whether it's in the India subcontinent or outside India, who would it be and why?
Gandhi.
Wow.
I am old generation, so I've always been inspired by Mahatma Gandhi and completely about, and today's world needs him.
Yes.
The whole aspect that he was the flag bearer of nonviolence, compassion, looking after the downtrodden. I think those are the kind of values, and he could actually, without shooting a single shot, he could drive a whole nation of millions towards a common cause. I think that's the kind of leader we need in today's very, very polarized world.
Absolutely. And an excellent interpretation because Now I can relate to your part when you said compassion as one of the leadership qualities that you bring across. Uh, Now deep diving into the realms of the the business conversation that we've aligned as part of the learning curve. Again, going back to the thought of your extensive career spanning across 25 plus years, across HR strategy, rewards, workforce planning. What inspired you to enter this field and how has your journey evolved? How did it start? What inspired you to get into HR? And how do you see the change that has evolved say, in the last 5 to 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, for me, HR was more an accident. I came to Middle East as everybody else, wanting to make quick money and go back home. And I came here more as a post MBA, fresh graduate, post MBA, wanting to make money in the Middle East. I'm talking about back in the late 90s. And I got so engrossed in the local population, and I moved into HR purely by accident, because at those days I used to be a supply chain specialist, and I got into HR very purely because there was a vacancy available, and I I was attracted towards it because it was a comp and ben role. And since then, I've always savored the whole aspect of total rewards, from my first job way back in early 2000, when I took up this job of a comp and ben specialist. So I've lived in a comp and ben role for almost 7 8 years, and post that everything has been on a consulting role. And initial years consulting, which was mainly org transformation, performance, rewards, was very brick mortar. I mean, it was all about how do HR needs to fulfill the requirements of talent retention, talent attraction, talent development. And we used to do the entire workforce plan, workforce journey, policies around these anchors. We need to get the best talent, we need to attract the best talent, we need to develop them, and we need to make them perform. And as time passed, I think we started moving into more automation, technology related environments, and we started getting into HR tech, which was part of a ERP, either an Oracle or a SAP. And we started doing a lot of automation projects, which was predominantly to streamline the processes and automate it, whether it is hiring, retiring, anything in between was documented, and identify which are the automation points, and then people would look for clients would look for a platform, either a Microsoft or a SAP or Oracle, and they would automate. And somewhere in between, we would start advising our clients on how to actually move into a more automated, more intelligent environment. And that's where my journey has been about how we remain close to our clients, and doing these kind of projects which help clients uh, improve their HR maturity, and that's what I have been doing. In the last 5 years, I think there has been a tectonic shift, and this tectonic shift is being realized not only in the HR consulting space, but I think across all domains. I think no domain is now untouched by the whole digitalization drive. And I think more and more HR professionals are fearing that digitalization will catch up. And now, as we speak, I think every day I'm seeing how the whole people agenda, future of work is shifting.
Right, right,
And with AI coming in, with bots coming in, I think it's going to be interesting time, but at the same time, very hard as well. Jobs are going to be lost. Consulting is going to get commoditized. Consulting will be done by artificial intelligent bots.
right,
So
right.
it's interesting times, and I think what happens in the West comes in the Middle East. That was the saying. I think in the Middle East, I things are shaking up much faster than any other parts of the world.
Sure. Great insights, Sanjay. Again, the shift that is happening, I think this entire conversation about the disruption of the three Ws, which is the work, the worker, and the workplace, and the evolving landscape with technology coming in. I have a follow-up question to that. And again, going back to, your consulting experience, which is across the years in so many big and renowned companies. Consulting is all about interacting with multiple industries, which also actually comes with its own set of challenges. So, how are you able to adapt to different HR strategies with the evolving changes at workplace to ensure that the unique future readiness, as you spoke of, with technology coming in, artificial intelligence, the entire conversation on future readiness, how are you able to adapt to the organization's demand on the changing landscape of HR strategies?
Yeah, but there is no one
Yeah,
stop fit all solution here. Every industry has its own uniqueness when it comes to future readiness. Typically in the Middle East, I think it's not as diverse as India market, but typically in the Middle East, you have the oil and gas sector, which used to be the dominant sector, which is now diversified into more energy and utilities sector. And there is a lot of shift happening there. A lot of private companies are entering, a lot of innovation, a lot of renewables coming into play. Middle East is no more a oil-based economy, as you all know. It is becoming, the energy sector is becoming highly diversified with nuclear. So that's one area. Retail is very dynamic and extremely agile, and it's moving at a lightning speed. Family businesses is the third sector, which is very common these days, where families have a diversified companies under them, and they tend to have their own hierarchies and modernization going through them. And the fourth, which is again rapidly growing, is the fintech sector. Earlier, it was all banking and investments. Now it is becoming more fintech. So each sector is moving very, very differently when it comes to growth, aspiration, diversification. And what we do as part of our consulting is to suggest to them the HR strategy which best fits the organization. We do a lot of work around talent development in the oil and gas sector. Huge digitalization initiatives are coming by. Oil and gas sector has to be more cost sensitive than revenue sensitive, because that's the only thing that they have in control, because revenue is driven by all the global market pricing, whereas retail is extremely agile. There are a lot of changes happening. A worker in a retail needs to become extremely tech savvy. In our olden days, that was not the case. So people need to be more aligned that your footfall in your store may not always happen in the physical store, but it may happen in your virtual store, on social media, on other areas. Family businesses are still, I would say, are very conventional, very traditional. They are trying to become modern, but it is going to take time. And those organizations that modernize faster than the rest will probably see better returns coming in. And when it comes to modernization, they'll have to focus a lot on people development, attracting the right talent, and making sure that they drive the kind of digitalization that will bring the cost down. And of course, last is that we need to create HR strategy based on the industry demands, the
right,
customer
right.
needs, what the boardroom is talking about, and
Yes.
then co-create the strategy, not like a one size fit all.
Absolutely. And that's something I think based on our research also what we've noticed that, what you rightly mentioned, that entire shift from being an oil-based to a knowledge-based sector economy is getting diversified. And specifically for UAE, if we pick up, there is this entire aspiration to become, a knowledge or a digital hub for, their global clients. Moving slightly on the reward side, Sanjay, just wanted to understand from you, how do you see total rewards evolving in an era where employees expect flexibility? And the ways of working has actually changed post-COVID, where flexibility is the need, things need to be personalized. Uh, how are you looking at that angle in terms of well-being incentives alongside financial compensation, the entire balance of everything going well, which can increase the engagement levels of employees?
So total rewards, I've been a total rewards in
Yeah.
this part of the world for almost 25 years. And initial days, it was all about fixed pay, variable, and benefits. There are three very dominant characteristics of a total reward. And when we first started coming out with the total reward as a concept, we had other elements which were always ignored around career, aspirations, well-being, flexibility in benefits, the menu-driven benefits were all talk, theoretical, and future aspirations, but they never became reality. We always preached them, but it could never become a practice. And I could see very clearly all the preachings we had in our early 2010s and 20s, we is all becoming a reality. We are seeing that the new generation are excited to join our organization, which provides them excellent well-being programs, whether it's fitness, whether it's sports, excellent rewards recognition programs if they do well, if they are able to drive a particular agenda or a particular initiative, they are able to. So new generation also wants to work in a remote environment or in a hybrid environment, and hence they are also wanting to know whether they are equally productive while being remote. And I'm saying there are a lot of debates around it, but as total rewards professionals, we need to have motivation programs available for hybrid workers as well as total remote workers. The other thing which I'm seeing a big shift on is there is no more a situation where you are only ready to attract, retain, and motivate your permanent employees. You have your gig workers to attract, you have your part-time employees, you have your short-term employment employees to attract and retain. So the gamut of total rewards has increased almost 3 times, and we are far more challenged to provide solutions to the board about how do I attract, retain all types of work. But in the new age, I'm also seeing that organizations are relying a lot on long-term incentives, even for their mid-tier as well as low-level employees. I work a lot with large retail companies who go public. They are saying, while we are going public, we also want to offer our equity-based rewards to our to even our frontline employees who at this stage may not understand what a stock option may look like or what a stock plan may look like. But organizations are becoming more and more open to try new innovative reward programs. And the board, some of the board questions that I always answer is, can we be more innovative while being able to attract and retain? But at the same time, how do we make sure that the reward benefit the efficiency of the reward is 10 times more than the value of the reward? And that can happen only if you are able to expand the reach of the various rewards programs.
Sure. Great insights again, Sanjay. And I'm again going back to, how we started the conversation where you spoke about compassion. You've spoken about as Mahatma Gandhi, the great Mahatma Gandhi, as being one of your idols. And also to the fact, based on your experience working across different sectors, industries, uh, what are the key elements you see in terms of building a resilient, human-centered organization in the age of technology and AI? So, if I were to rephrase, how do you actually balance technology at the same time ensure that the human element of compassion, human element of empathy still stays in our organization or the workforce?
Well, now human-centered AI is a buzzword all tech companies are using. And frankly speaking, this is becoming a norm in today's age. However, I have been part of various HR technology initiatives across the Middle East, and I've seen a lot more human centricity now than before. And I'll be very open and frank. Um, One is that the entire HR program, whether it is hire to retire, is becoming personalized more and more. You have personalized reward recognition program, you have personalized rewards program, you have personalized benefits program, and that is also driving some of the employee experience initiatives. Now that was happening way back in early 2020s and also in late 99 in the 2015 2018 we saw a lot of programs around employee experience. But the first time, and this is more futuristic than current, organizations are now testing whether AI can help me humanize and personalize my HR programs, and this is happening in reality.
Right, right.
Large healthcare organizations are helping their rewards program to become more personalized using technology, using AI. Yesterday, I was in a discussion with a tech provider where the AI was actually driving performance while also making sure that you have a potential as well to achieve that performance. So organizations are testing these new ideas of how performance and potential can go hand in hand, which was not the case before. A board would say, these are your targets, go and achieve it. They would hardly look at the fact that whether do I have the capability, do I have the skill sets, do I have the bandwidth, do I have the resources to achieve those targets. And nowadays, technology is allowing us to bring in the aspect of capability, skill development, knowledge, collaboration, all these elements into your organization and driving some of these performance management program, and that in turn will drive incentives and rewards. This is just one example. I have so many examples
I'm sure. I'm sure.
uh,
Yes.
where I can talk on and on about human-centric AI, which is becoming quite common these days as we move forward.
Right. Again, great insight, Sanjay. And moving a little further, because this whole conversation about readiness is also about whether the leadership is ready in an organization to embrace the change or the technology coming in. This whole conversation also about culture readiness within the organization to embrace a culture of innovation or a culture of growth mindset. Again, going back to your insights that you shared a couple of minutes back, where you spoke about different sectors, industries, family businesses. Uh, you know, how does the approach to leadership differ in each? What has your experience been, whether it's the retail sector that you spoke of, which is super agile and booming, whether it's the banking sector or the oil and gas? As per your experience, how does the approach to leadership differ in each of them? Any insights for our listeners?
Leadership is going to be tested. I think they are quite important part of any HR leader.
Yeah,
And as we move from sector to sector, there are two parts of any sector. One is the private organizations would work very differently because they have the flexibility to hire the best, hire, retain, or develop
yeah,
whoever in their meritorious performance potential curve. Whereas the government sector would work very differently because they would always go for the national leaders to drive. So our approach would change, not necessarily change, but has to be customized to the sector that we are dealing with. Especially the oil and gas sector, I think most senior leaders are nationals as we speak to them, and we
yeah.
are seeing how nationals are driving the program, various leadership programs, and they generally come from within the organization. They are very rarely being parachuted into the organization, but most organizations choose their leader based on not what they have learned or what are their technical qualifications, but based on the person who has the best compassion, who has the best network, who is
Yes,
able to drive future growth. Um, the boards are becoming extremely conscious when they have to take a decision on future leaders, whereas in the private organizations, it is all about cutthroat competition. They will get the best of the best from the market. But one thing I must tell you, and this is purely my personal belief, that in today's world, um, all leaders needs to be cognizant of the fact that every day, every month, every quarter, they need to show value to the board, either in form
Absolutely
of
agree. Yes.
tangible or intangible. The
Yeah.
day the shift between value you create versus the compensation that you are demanding,
Yeah.
you should be looking forward to a retirement or a shift, because your next in line is going to take your job away. And
Absolutely.
nobody is insulated, whether you are a national or a non-national, nobody is insulated from this theory that if you don't create value and it is not measurable and it is not incremental, your time on the job is limited.
Right.
So you are on the hook always, but at the same time, you are always in the sandwich where your direct team members are demanding too much from you, and your board members are never stop criticizing you. So it's a balancing game and a very tough game, and not easy.
Absolutely, Sanjay. And I 100% agree and resonate that end of the day, leadership is not a bed of roses. You need to create value, you need to change, and you need to adapt to the changing times, as we say. Uh, and this is perhaps going to be my last question to you. What is one thing that you have learned or tried to do differently in the recent past? And again, going back to your super rich experience, anything that our learners or our listeners or our viewers could actually take away from this conversation?
And this is mainly for my HR consultants
Right.
who are my listeners or HR practitioners. We always underestimate the importance of change management. And this is, I used to hardly believe in change management in my many years. But over the last few months, I have realized that any change needs to be managed very structured, very program driven, very compassionately, a lot more focus. Generally, when you do a project, whether it's a technology project, org change project, strategy project, growth project, you always focus on the project and the milestones of the project. It's very important that along with focusing on your project plan, you also need to have a change plan to drive culture change, change in mindsets, communication, stakeholder management, a lot of training, a lot of knowledge transfer, so that you take the people along with you. And most projects, whether it's a technology project, fail because of lack of change management. So this is one thing I've learned over the past, how to be a more change leader rather than just a project leader.
Excellent, Sanjay. I think great insight. And, just going back to one of the McKinsey reports that I came across as part of the research that I was doing, the rate of digital transformation failure is close to 70%. Which is very high in any organization. And the reason for that is that the entire process, as you spoke about change management not being implemented in the right way, in terms of communication, in terms of managing change, and how to adjust to the change, is the reason for a lot of large transformations getting into a failure zone. So thank you so much. I
Absolutely.
think the insights that you have shared with us, and it's a great value. And just love the chat with you in terms of the discussions that we had. And I'm sure that the viewers and the listeners will find absolutely great value and learning from this. Thank you to all our viewers and listeners for tuning in to the Learning Curve. We shall be back in the next episode with another great personality insights on making organizations, leaders, and the workforce ready for the future. Until next time, take care and goodbye.